These are some problems from Chapter 5, Section 4, titled Solving Special Systems of Linear Equations, day number 2. So remember when we solved special systems, we had two different types of answers. We had some answers when we had parallel lines, and if we had parallel lines, we see that those lines don't cross. So parallel lines signified that we had no solution. There was no possible way to make that system true. And so then we had a situation in which we had a line, and then we had another line right on top of it. And when I have that situation, it means we have the same line. And the same line signifies that we have an infinite number of solutions. So we say infinitely many solutions. And so that's what we have to concern ourselves with. And so when we went ahead and solved the system, if we ended up with something like this, where we had A equals B, so we had two numbers, maybe like 3 equals 4, that would signify that there was no solution. Where if we had this situation where A equals A, or maybe 2 equals 2, where we have an identity, that means we have an infinite number of solutions. So let's take a look at the scenario here. It says that the table shows the activities of two visitors at a park. You want to take a boat tour for 2 hours and walking for 3 hours. Can you determine how much you will pay? Explain. And so we can go ahead and find out how much does the boat tour cost. We're not sure, but we know that visitor 1 went 1 hour on that boat tour. So let's define some variables here. B equals the cost of a boat tour, where we'll say W equals the cost of a walking tour. So I'll set up my equation here for visitor 1. It's going to be 1 times B plus 2 times W equals 19. And so I'll go ahead and set up my next one. 1.5B plus 3W equals 2850. So when I go ahead and solve this, I'm going to go ahead and multiply this equation by negative 1.5. Let's do that. So each of these terms I'll multiply by negative 1.5. So that makes it a negative 1.5b, and then double negative 1.5 makes a negative 3w. And if I multiply 19 by 1.5, I end up with 28.5. So negative 28 5/10. And so notice how when I go ahead and add these together, I'm canceling out the b's, canceling out the w's, so I'm left with 0. Over here, 28.5 and 28.5, those cancel out too, and that makes 0. So what that tells me is I have an identity. And so I can't solve for just one answer. There's infinite number of answers. These are the same lines. And so there are an infinite number of solutions. So I can't specify what a boat tour costs and what a walking tour costs, because I've got an infinite number of possibilities. And so if I went ahead and graphed it, let's say it's a line that ends up looking like this, that tells me that the other line is going to be right on top of that line. And if I was to find out, if I set up a coordinate plane here like this, and let's say this is my walking and this is my boating, that means that at this point right here is a solution, so this number of walking and this number of boating for the cost, but this would also be a solution over here. And so this number of walking would match this number of boating. So there are many, many different solutions depending on where you are along this line. And so there's an infinite number of solutions. So I can't be specific about an answer. So let's take a look at the next scenario. It says this: a pig race. In a pig race, your pig gets a head start of 3 feet and is running at a rate of 2 feet per second. And so your friend's pig also is running at a rate of 2 feet per second. And we want to find out, and these are the two scenarios here. This is your pig right here. So your pig gets that start of 3 feet and is running at a rate of 2 feet every second. And And so y is going to end up being our distance in feet, and we see that x would be time in seconds. And so your friend's pig is y equals 2x, does not get that head start. And so if I was to solve this, I would go ahead and substitute. It's a great method here. 2x equals 2x plus 3. Well, when you go ahead and solve further, you notice that your variables cancel. And so I'm left with something that is false, a false statement. And so what that means is that there is no solution. No solution. Your pig will always stay 3 feet ahead of the other pig. And the reason is that the slopes, look at the rate of change. Your pig and your friend's pig have the same slope. And so when they have the same slope, that means the lines are parallel. We have parallel lines. Parallel lines aren't going to cross. And so if we have the same slope, that means your pig is going to be going the same speed as your friend's pig, but your pig is 3 feet ahead. So that means that it will stay 3 feet ahead, and your friend's pig will not catch up. So that's what we end up seeing on tonight's homework. Good luck.